Maya stood in the center of the glittering ballroom, her daughter crying in her arms, while the restaurant owner screamed that she was fired in front of 200 wealthy guests. Her face burned with shame as security guards moved toward her, their hands reaching to escort her out like she was trash. She didn't know that one man watching from the corner booth had just recognized her face from a life she thought was buried forever, and what he was about to do would either save her or destroy everything she had left. What could this billionaire possibly know about Maya's past? To understand what happened next, we need to return to the moment the world shifted. Maya's hands shook as she balanced the silver tray loaded with champagne glasses. The Crystal Pavilion was the most expensive restaurant in the city, where a single plate of food cost more than her weekly rent. She moved between tables draped in white silk, past women wearing diamonds that could feed her daughter for years. Every step felt like walking on glass. One mistake here and she would lose everything. Her phone buzzed in her apron pocket. She knew it was the daycare again. Little Emma had been crying all afternoon, running a fever. Maya had already called during her break, promising she would pick her up the moment her shift ended. Just 3 more hours. She could make it 3 more hours. "Excuse me, this champagne is warm," a woman in a red gown said, wrinkling her nose. Maya apologized immediately, her voice soft and respectful. She hurried back to the kitchen, replaced the bottle, returned with a fresh glass. The woman didn't even look at her. Maya was invisible here. She was always invisible. Her phone buzzed again. Then again. Maya's heart hammered against her ribs. Something was wrong. During a brief moment when no one was watching, she stepped into the hallway near the restrooms and pulled out her phone. The daycare director's message made her blood go cold. "Emma's fever is very high. We've called you 5 times. You need to come now or we're taking her to the hospital." Panic flooded through Maya's chest. She looked back at the ballroom, at the tables still half full, at her manager Adrian watching the staff like a hawk. She couldn't leave. Not yet. Adrian had fired 2 people last month for leaving early. But this was her daughter. This was Emma. Maya made her choice. She grabbed her coat and ran toward the exit. "Where do you think you're going?" Adrian's voice cut through the air like a blade. Maya turned, her throat tight. "My daughter is sick. I have to go. I'm sorry. I'll make up the hours tomorrow." Adrian's face went hard. "You walk out that door, you don't come back." "Please," Maya whispered. "She's only 2 years old. She needs me." "I don't care if she's dying," Adrian said coldly. "You signed a contract. You leave now, you're done." Maya felt tears sting her eyes, but she didn't stop walking. She pushed through the door and ran into the cold night air, her breath coming in gasps. She didn't care about the job. She didn't care about anything except getting to Emma. 20 minutes later, she burst through the daycare doors. Emma was lying on a small cot, her cheeks flushed red, her tiny body trembling. Maya scooped her up, feeling the heat radiating from her daughter's skin. The director stood nearby, arms crossed. "We almost called an ambulance," the director said sharply. "This is unacceptable, Maya. We can't keep doing this." Maya nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." She carried Emma to the emergency room. 4 hours later, after tests and medications and a doctor finally saying Emma would be okay, Maya sat in a plastic chair with her daughter asleep against her chest. Relief mixed with terror. She had no job now. No income. Rent was due in 1 week. But she pushed the fear down. Emma was safe. That was all that mattered. 3 days later, Maya stood outside the Crystal Pavilion again. She had called Adrian a dozen times, begging for her job back, but he never answered. So she came in person, during the afternoon before the dinner shift started. She needed to try one more time. She walked through the golden doors and found Adrian in his office. He looked up, annoyed. "Please," Maya said. "I need this job. I'll work double shifts. I'll do anything." Adrian leaned back in his chair. "You walked out on the busiest night of the year. You embarrassed me in front of investors. Why would I ever take you back?" "Because I'm a good worker," Maya said, her voice cracking. "Because I've never been late before that night. Because my daughter almost died and I had no choice." Adrian's expression didn't change. There's always a choice. You made yours. Maya felt something break inside her chest. She turned to leave, but then she heard voices in the hallway. A private event was being set up in the main ballroom. She recognized some of the staff rushing past with flowers and champagne. "Wait," Adrian said suddenly. "Actually, I need extra hands tonight. One shift. You mess up even once, you're gone for good. You do well, maybe we talk." Maya's heart leaped. "Thank you. Thank you so much." That evening, Maya arrived early, her uniform pressed, her hair pulled back neatly. The ballroom had been transformed into something out of a fairy tale. Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead. A string quartet played near the windows. Tables were covered in orchids and candles. This was a private charity gala for the wealthiest people in the state. Maya worked carefully, her focus sharp. She served appetizers, refilled drinks, cleared plates. She avoided eye contact with the guests, made herself small and invisible. Everything was going perfectly, until her phone buzzed. Maya froze. She had left Emma with her neighbor, Mrs. Chen, who had agreed to watch her for the night. But Mrs. Chen was 70 years old and sometimes forgot things. The buzzing continued. Maya's stomach twisted. She couldn't check it here. Not now. But then the buzzing became ringing, loud and shrill in the silent space between songs. Heads turned. Adrian's eyes locked onto her from across the room. Maya fumbled for her phone, her face burning. She silenced it, but it was too late. Adrian was already walking toward her, his face like stone. "Outside. Now." Maya followed him into the hallway, her heart pounding. "I told you one mistake and you're done," Adrian hissed. "I'm sorry, I thought it was off." "I don't care. You're finished." Maya's phone rang again. This time she answered it, her hands shaking. "Hello. Maya, you need to come home." Mrs. Chen's voice was panicked. "Emma won't stop crying. I think something's wrong. I don't know what to do." Maya's world tilted. I'm coming right now." She hung up and looked at Adrian. "I have to go." "You step out that door, don't come back." Maya ran. She grabbed her coat and flew through the exit, tears blurring her vision. She didn't care anymore. She couldn't care. Emma needed her. But she had forgotten something. In her panic, she had left her purse in the staff room. Inside that purse was her wallet, her keys, everything. And Emma's favorite blanket she had brought to give to Mrs. Chen. Maya turned back. She would grab it quickly, then leave. Just 30 seconds. She pushed back through the door. And that's when she heard Emma. Her daughter's crying echoed through the ballroom. Maya's heart stopped. She ran forward and saw Mrs. Chen standing near the entrance, holding Emma, looking confused and frightened. "I'm sorry," Mrs. Chen said. She wouldn't stop. "I didn't know what else to do. I brought her here because you said Crystal Pavilion." But Maya wasn't listening. She took Emma from Mrs. Chen's arms, and her daughter buried her face in Maya's shoulder, sobbing. Maya held her tight, whispering that everything was okay, that mommy was here. And then she realized the entire ballroom had gone silent. 200 people in tuxedos and gowns were staring at her. The string quartet had stopped playing. Adrian was pushing through the crowd, his face purple with rage. "Get out," Adrian shouted. "Get out right now. You're done. You're fired." "Security." Maya stood frozen, humiliation crashing over her in waves. Emma cried harder, frightened by the yelling. 2 security guards appeared, moving toward Maya. "Please," Maya whispered. "Please, I just need to get my things." "You brought a screaming baby into a private gala," Adrian roared. "Do you have any idea what you've done? These people paid $50,000 a plate and you—" "That's enough." The voice came from the corner of the room. Commanding. Everyone turned. A man stood up from a booth near the windows, and Maya's breath caught in her throat. He was tall, wearing a perfectly tailored black suit, his dark hair touched with silver at the temples. His eyes were sharp and focused entirely on her. But it wasn't his appearance that made Maya's knees weak. It was his face. A face she hadn't seen in 7 years. A face she thought she'd never see again. The man walked forward, each step echoing in the silent ballroom. He stopped directly in front of Maya and Emma, his gaze moving between them. And when he spoke again, his words shattered everything Maya thought she knew about her life. "That," he said quietly looking at Emma, "is my daughter." The ballroom erupted. Voices rose in shocked whispers. Camera phones appeared. Adrian's mouth fell open. But Maya couldn't hear any of it. All she could hear was the rushing of blood in her ears as she stared at the man standing before her. Dominic Kane. Billionaire. CEO of Kane Industries. The man she had loved with everything she had 7 years ago before he disappeared from her life without a word. "No," Maya whispered, pulling Emma closer. "No, you don't get to do this." Dominic's jaw tightened. "We need to talk. Privately. I have nothing to say to you." Maya's voice shook, but she forced herself to stand tall. She turned to leave, but Dominic stepped in front of her. "Maya, please. Just give me 5 minutes." Adrian pushed forward, his face confused. "Mr. Kane, I apologize for this disruption. This employee will be removed immediately." "She's not going anywhere," Dominic said without looking at Adrian. His eyes stayed locked on Maya. "And if you speak to her like that again, I'll make sure you never work in this city again." Adrian's face went white. He stepped back, silent. Dominic gestured toward a private room off the main ballroom. "Please." Maya wanted to run. She wanted to take Emma and disappear. But she also wanted answers. She wanted to know why he had abandoned her when she needed him most. Why he had left her pregnant and alone with nothing but a note saying he had to go. So she walked into the private room, her arms wrapped protectively around Emma. Dominic followed and closed the door. The noise from the ballroom faded. It was just the three of them now. Emma had stopped crying. She looked up at Dominic with wide, curious eyes. Eyes that were the exact same shade of gray as his. Dominic stared at Emma like he was seeing a ghost. "How old is she?" 2.5, Maya said quietly. Dominic did the math in his head. His face crumpled. "You were pregnant. When I left. You were pregnant and you didn't tell me." "I didn't know," Maya said, her voice breaking. "I found out 2 weeks after you disappeared. I tried to find you. I called everyone we knew. I went to your apartment and it was empty. You were just gone, Dominic. You left me a note that said you had to leave for business and you'd be back soon. But you never came back." Dominic closed his eyes, pain washing over his features. "I couldn't come back. My father died suddenly. I had to take over the company immediately. Everything was chaos. And then there were threats. People who wanted to hurt my family, who wanted to take everything we had. I had to disappear to protect the people I loved. I couldn't risk bringing you into that danger." "So you just left me?" Maya's tears spilled over. "You didn't think I deserved to know? You didn't think I deserved a choice?" "I wrote you letters," Dominic said desperately. "I sent them to your old address. I tried to explain. But they all came back undelivered. And by then months had passed and I thought you had moved on. I thought you hated me." "I did move on," Maya whispered. "Because I had to. Because I had a daughter to raise and no one to help me." Emma reached out and touched Dominic's face with her small hand. He flinched, then gently took her tiny fingers in his. A tear slid down his cheek. "I'm sorry," he said, his voice raw. "I'm so sorry, Maya. I should have tried harder. I should have found you. I should have been there." Maya wanted to stay angry. She wanted to hold onto the rage that had kept her going through sleepless nights and empty bank accounts and moments when she didn't know how she would survive another day. But looking at him now, seeing the genuine devastation in his eyes, she felt something inside her crack open. "What do you want, Dominic?" she asked tiredly. "I want to know my daughter," he said. "I want to be her father. And I want to take care of both of you." Maya laughed bitterly. "I don't need you to take care of me. I've been doing just fine on my own." "Have you?" Dominic looked at her, really looked at her. At her worn shoes and her tired eyes and her hands that were rough from years of hard work. "You were just fired for being a mother. You're struggling. Let me help." "I don't want your money," Maya said. "It's not about money," Dominic said firmly. "It's about family. Emma is my daughter. That makes her my responsibility. And you," He stopped, his voice catching. You're the only woman I ever loved. I never stopped thinking about you. Maya's heart twisted. She had loved him too. So much it had nearly destroyed her when he left. I can't do this right now, she whispered. I can't process this. I need time. Dominic nodded slowly. But I'm not disappearing again. I'm going to be here. For both of you. He pulled a card from his pocket and handed it to her. That's my private number. Call me anytime. Day or night. Maya took the card with trembling fingers. Then she carried Emma out of the room, through the ballroom where everyone was still staring, and out into the night. The next morning, Maya woke to a knock on her apartment door. When she opened it, a man in a suit stood there holding an envelope. Miss Torres? He asked. Maya nodded. This is from Mr. Kane. He handed her the envelope and left. Maya opened it with shaking hands. Inside was a check. She looked at the amount and nearly fainted. $50,000. Enough to cover rent for a year. Enough to buy Emma everything she needed. There was also a note in Dominic's handwriting. This isn't charity. This is what I should have been giving you all along. Please accept it. For Emma. Maya sat down hard on her couch. She didn't know what to do. Part of her wanted to tear up the check and throw it back in his face. But another part of her, the part that was so tired of struggling, wanted to accept it. In the end, she put the check in a drawer and didn't cash it. Not yet. Over the next 2 weeks, Dominic called every day. At first Maya didn't answer. But Emma had started asking about the man with the kind eyes, and Maya realized she couldn't keep her daughter from her father forever. So she agreed to meet him. At a park. Neutral ground. Dominic arrived with a teddy bear bigger than Emma and a smile that made Maya's heart ache. He sat on the grass and played with Emma, pushing her on the swings, catching her at the bottom of the slide. And Maya watched, seeing her daughter laugh in a way she hadn't laughed in months. She's amazing, Dominic said when Emma ran off to the sandbox. She's so smart. She has your smile. And your eyes, Maya said softly. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Dominic spoke. I meant what I said. I want to be in her life. Fully. Not just visits in the park. I want to be her father. What does that look like to you? Maya asked carefully. It looks like me being there for her milestones. Her birthdays. Her first day of school. It looks like supporting you so you don't have to work 3 jobs to survive. It looks like us figuring out how to be a family, even if it's not a traditional one. Maya's throat tightened. And what about us? What are we? Dominic looked at her, and the longing in his eyes was so raw it made her chest hurt. That's up to you. I never stopped loving you, Maya. But I understand if you can't forgive me. I just want a chance to prove that I'm not going anywhere this time. Before Maya could respond, Emma ran back over and climbed into Dominic's lap. She yawned, exhausted from playing, and rested her head against his chest. Dominic wrapped his arms around her gently, and the look on his face, pure, overwhelming love, made Maya's decision for her. Okay, she whispered. We'll try. Slowly. But we'll try. Dominic's smile was brighter than the sun. Over the following months, everything changed. Dominic helped Maya find a better apartment in a safe neighborhood with good schools. He set up a trust fund for Emma. He showed up for every doctor's appointment, every playdate, every bedtime story. And slowly, carefully, Maya let her walls come down. She let herself remember why she had fallen in love with him in the first place. His kindness. His humor. The way he looked at her like she was the most important person in the world. One evening, 6 months after that night in the ballroom, Dominic took Maya to dinner at the Crystal Pavilion. The same restaurant where everything had fallen apart. But this time was different. This time, they sat at the best table in the house. And when Adrian approached nervously to take their order, Dominic looked him dead in the eye. I'm buying this restaurant, Dominic said calmly. And your services are no longer needed. You're fired. Adrian's face went pale. He opened his mouth to argue, but Dominic cut him off. You humiliated the mother of my child. You treated her like she was worthless. Now you know how it feels. Adrian left without another word. And Maya, for the first time in years, felt truly seen. Later that night, standing on the balcony of Dominic's penthouse with Emma asleep inside and the city lights glittering below, Dominic took Maya's hand. "I know I can't erase the past," he said quietly. "I can't give you back those years I missed. But I can give you the future. All of it. If you'll have me." He pulled out a small velvet box and opened it. Inside was a ring that caught the moonlight and scattered it into 1,000 stars. "Marry me, Maya. Not because of Emma. Not because of guilt. But because I love you. Because I never stopped loving you. Because I want to spend the rest of my life making up for the time we lost." Maya looked at the ring, then at the man holding it, then back at the window where their daughter slept peacefully. And she realized that some broken things could be mended. Some lost things could be found. "Yes," she whispered. Dominic slipped the ring onto her finger and kissed her like he was coming home after a long journey. And in that moment, surrounded by the wreckage of their past and the promise of their future, Maya finally let herself believe in second chances. Some endings are really beginnings. Some losses lead to something better. And sometimes the person who walks away is the same person who comes back and stays forever. Love doesn't always look like we expect, but when it's real, it finds a way. If you love this story, there are more just like it waiting for you on our channel. Have you ever gotten a second chance with someone you thought you'd lost forever? Like/share/subscribe. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and share it with someone who believes in second chances. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another emotional story. Thanks for loving Reddit Storyteller.